slap your Harvard acceptance letter on their table and say, you know what? I actually want to work for you. Save yourself $200,000 in educational costs. Have the job you want. But isn't it a fascinating concept?
It's stupid.
This podcast contains the arguably witty banter of two friends, Skippy and Doogles, that like to debate about investing. The content is intended to be entertaining and for informational purposes only, not investment advice. You should do your own research and consult a financial professional before using any of the information in this podcast, and especially before investing.
On this latest episode of When I Say You Say, When I Say You Say, When I Say Two, You Say,
I'm not saying that.
Hundo. When I say two, you say.
So 200th episode, Doogles.
Oh my goodness.
Why did we make it? Why did we do this? I'm so confused.
Why did it do to human nature? Because the people need to understand what's going on. That's why. This is not just
be a little strong.
Entertainment. This is obligation.
Oh, Doogles, on a serious note, thank you for talking to me for 200 straight weeks. What is wrong with us? Some serious issues here.
I mean, there's so much goodness out there. You know what I mean? That people need to be brought the knowledge.
Get on that crusade to fix the world.
That's right. That's right.
Ooh, there's a lot to talk about today, which I know is going to come as a surprise to you.
Ooh.
But like 5 of those things are related to politics, which we don't talk about on the show. So,
but we can talk about them anyway.
I don't know. What caught your interest this week is what I'm really trying to say.
Okay. Are you familiar with millennials? Have you ever heard about this?
Yeah.
Okay, millennials. We got Generation X. Okay, Gen X happens in the 1970s. People born up in the 1970s. Then 1980s. There's the future of our souls, which we call millennials, started being born. And for the last, I don't know, I feel like 10, 15 years, when it came to financials, it was always discussed how millennials are falling behind. That was the general talk track. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that the GFC, the great financial crisis, happened when a lot of millennials were coming out of school. And so getting that job was difficult. Getting that starting position was difficult. And so millennials falling behind financially no longer is what this piece from Barron's is telling us. This piece by, hold on, let me do the credit where credit is due type situation. Reshma Kapadia, sorry if I got your name wrong, and graphics by Molly Cook Escobar. And Molly Cook did some good graphics up in here. There's a piece called Millennials Aren't Falling Behind After All. This data reveals the generation's deeper problem. Okay.
It's a pretty good piece, especially the graphics, right?
Yeah, Molly Cook Escobar. Now, Molly Cook, I don't want to be the spoiler alert for you, but look into your family history. You might find something that is a little bit disturbing here with the Escobar situation. Anyway, just go look. I'm just the messenger. Okay.
Hard-hitting insights to start off episode 200. There we go.
Exactly. All right. So what this is saying, as I mentioned before, millennials got off to a bit of a rocky start financially. However, right now, millennials are crushing it when it comes to where financials are relative to baby boomers. Give a couple numbers. When you look at the median net worth it says average. I don't know what that is. So let's just call it average. Average net worth for millennials right now is a little bit over 100K. At the same point in the baby boomers generation, which was 1992, a little under $60,000. So
it's not immediately clear. First of all, you're right. This should be median rather than average. It's not immediately clear. Median doesn't like jump off the page that say these numbers are inflation adjusted. I assume they are.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah. They are. But then, so you go, oh, you probably, what does this call it? 40, I don't know. It's not quite double. So let's call it 80% higher or something like that. But the deep, dark secrets that were mentioned before come from this. The inequity, the difference between the low and the high up in Checha for these generations is so different. So in baby boomers, you went from about zero net worth to $1 million on the high end, most wealthy. With The millennials, it's still roughly $0 up to $2.5 million net worth. Fascinating. So the difference is the
Yeah, my
highest
favorite
of,
is the least wealthy millennials are like significantly in debt in a way that baby boomers weren't. Our worst are doing a great job.
wait, what? Say that again?
So the graph breaks down the most wealthy and least wealthy, as well as the person of average wealth for each
Oh, yeah.
generation.
Oh, yeah.
And the least wealthy millennial is significantly in debt. I'm talking like $100,000 in debt for their cumulative, complete financial well being. Whereas the worst baby boomer was like they had a few credit card bills. That was it. So the point is we're doing it on the high side and the low side better. Millennials just really know how to play this game.
Doing it. We do debt better.
We do.
America.
It seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is education's a big part of it. Education's a big part of this. What I like about this piece is it breaks out four different scenarios, effectively like personas.
Mhm.
They call them millennial A, B, C, and D. And what it does is it just walks through life for each of them and gives a rough estimation of the why behind the differences. And here is what is interesting about this. So there's education, as we mentioned, which is a part of the debt cycle. But what it says, so I'm vastly oversimplifying for the point of just summarizing this. What it says is that when millennials are going through life, there are some folks who have someone that can give them a little bit of a safety net or a boost at times. And so therefore, they do not have to then dip into their own savings as deeply and can let their ish compound, assuming they're invested.
Mhm.
That's effectively like the difference here is that somebody hits a little rough patch and grandpappy come in and grandpappy says you can have a couple $1,000, right? And then that helps that millennial. Whereas someone else might have to go and dip into their 401k a little bit more or can't start their 401k. And that investment difference is a big deal. And if you look at, I mentioned the Great Financial Crisis as a reason why millennials effectively were more behind before. But if you look at everything since the Great Financial Crisis from a stock market perspective, it's up and to the right. And
Mhm.
so when you have effectively all of someone's working life has been a bull market.
Yeah, that's a little strong, but I know what you mean. Can we walk through these cases?
Yeah, go for it.
So A, B, C, D. All right. Millennial A is a high school grad who rents and jumps straight to hourly work at 18, does not go to college. B is known as the indebted college grad, graduated with a 4-year degree and 20,000 in debt, secured a job with a 401k, having a hard time with home ownership. Okay. The student debt is weighing them down, basically.
Oh yeah.
Millennial C had some family help and a scholarship pay for their 4-year college degree. They have enough cash for a down payment on a home at 35 and followed by focusing on retirement savings. And then D is dubbed the early investor. They had a fair amount of help. Parents paid for undergraduate and master's degree, got a nice high school gift, a graduation gift, and have been investing kind of since then. Take advantage of low interest rates because they bought a house earlier, and so they're far ahead of their peers. This answers my first question. The very first graph. So then these graphs break down their apparent wealth in this
Mm-hmm.
example at
Yep.
different age points. And at 22, man, millennial C is worth like $12,000 and millennial D is worth almost $25,000. I was like, how? How is any 22-year-old how is any 22-year-old not worth like $50? That explains it.
And those scenarios are not completely off, like roughly.
I think
None
it's
of them.
solid. Yeah, no, I think they're the perfect like three
Yeah,
talking points, right?
that's right. That's right. And when you get to investing in support that early, you're gonna end up right ahead. So where do they end up? Let's fast forward to the end right quick. Tell me where A, B, C, and D end up.
Oh, we can't go decade by decade.
Oh,
All right,
you want
let's
to? No, you can go for it. Go for it.
now
You want
let's
to do it
do a
that way?
midway point. Let's
Okay.
stop at like
50?
40. We'll do 50. That's fine. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go 32 and then I'm gonna go 50, and then I'll let you talk about the end game. Okay.
Okay.
32 net worth. Millennial D is almost 150,000. Millennial C is 60,000. Millennial A, who went straight to the workforce, is like 45,000, 40,000. And the reason I wanted to talk about this exact point in time, 32, is because Millennial B may have slowly made their way out of debt, but their net worth is only like $12,000. So this is a
Yep.
point where the person that steered clear of financial debt, education debt, is still ahead. This is 12 years after a hypothetical college graduation. And in this example, they're still ahead by a pretty decent amount of Millennial B, who took
That's
on
right.
that college debt.
That's right.
Now, if we go to 50, things start to separate here, right? The Millennial D that had all the help is worth almost 900,000. Millennial B has surpassed Millennial A. Millennial
That's
B is
right.
worth about 200,000.
That's
And
right.
Millennial C is doing decently well, maybe 750,000 net worth.
It's that long game. So we're going to fast forward to the end. Fast forward to the end now. Millennial D, $3.5 million in net worth. C, 2.4 million. B, about $1 million. And A, a little under $400,000. That's where we are. And when you break it down, the way they break it down, it's a simple breakdown. They go savings, 401k, and home. Think about this as savings, investments, and house, just to keep it simple. And it is investments and housing that put C and D way ahead. And it's hard for I can't break down exactly what that breakdown is, but think about it as it's roughly 80% investments, 20% housing for Millennial D, and roughly 60% investments, 40% housing for C, and then no housing for A and B, and barely any investments really going on there. And so, like, that's what separates. And again, going back to what I said before, it's that support that they got. That is the biggest difference. Support and then being able to start earlier. That's the biggest difference.
All right. You didn't know we were going here, but have I
Uh-oh.
talked your ear off about Brad Gessler from the BG2 pod? Oh, and his company, Altimeter, the investing
Oh,
group,
my ear.
seed
No, my
stage
still got my
investing.
ears. Still got my
Okay.
ears.
And his initiative that he thinks is going to pass when the next, basically post election, it's called Invest America. We haven't talked about this, Doogles. Okay.
I don't think so.
Invest America would take a tiny percentage of the total government spending and invest it in the S&P 500 for everyone that is born. I think it would start in 2025. And apologies because I forget the exact number, but it's either like $1,000 or $5,000.
Yeah. So like
That
baby bond type thing, except
baby
in
bond
the
type thing.
okay, baby stocks.
And you look at his pitch. He's on with Meb Faber recently on the Meb Faber show, and his pitch is really compelling. Claims their support from all political parties, but it's a lot to do with this. It's him sitting by and watching different, gosh, I don't even want to call them classes of people, but different socioeconomic situations lead compound over 65 years and lead to drastically different outcomes. And then he, as an investor, is going, I have so much pride in America and American companies because I own those companies. And we can truly, like, we're all rooting for the same thing. But he says, for a person that is not invested, or maybe is not going to have the means to be invested, what are they sitting there? They're just sitting by and going, well, these people are getting rich, but it's not impactful to me. So the fix here, I think, is really clever. It's everyone should be invested in American companies. Everyone should be able to watch that grow. And in this case, it'd be revisionist history. But for these four scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
be fascinating to have that modeled in because the
Oh, yeah.
inequities here are much less.
Let me throw something out because I love the concept of this. Love it.
Yeah.
Let me throw something out there. What happens when you have the government with all the government dollars invested in the market, and then you get a new entrant into the S&P 500, you
Mhm.
know that all the money shifts over. Does the government investing in the market change the market? Is the central question that I have.
Uh, yes, but probably not meaningfully.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
This that debate kind of relates to like what happens when all the funds that are allocated are index funds, and then does it
Yep.
break the
Yeah, yeah,
market
yeah.
in the
Yeah,
sense
same,
like
same, same, same.
again, I'm not trying to claim that it's perfect. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
the charts in this clearly illustrate some of the challenges between people that invest heavily and people that invest early and those that do not.
That's true. It's true. All right. What you got? What's next?
Have you heard of the doorman fallacy?
I don't know. I do not know. I want to have heard of it.
Have you heard of Rory Sutherland?
The name rings a bell,
Okay. I was catching up on some Rory Sutherland this week.
as
He
one
has a
does.
great book. It's on my bookshelf over here called Alchemy. But like a really
Mm,
unique thinker from the
yeah.
UK,
Okay.
vice chairman at Ogilvy, the advertising agency.
Oh,
And he does this 3 hour podcast with Rick Rubin. And they're both a little crazy. So like you know where this goes. But one of the refreshers that I really loved is on the doorman fallacy. So, okay, Douglas, put on your big fancy consultant hat, right? A 5-star hotel,
ooh.
best in the business,
Oh yeah.
hires you, and you come in and you're looking at efficiencies. You
Okay.
are trying to make these people more money, right?
That's right.
What happens, according to Rory, is you look at this doorman and you're like, sure, this guy looks sharp, but really, like, isn't he just open a door?
Yeah.
We're gonna give you a 400-page presentation. It's like the McKinsey trash can
Mhm.
presentation for New York City, which I'm sure you've seen.
Yep.
400-page presentation. Effectively, it's gonna say replace this dude or gal that you're paying money. Like just
Door
send
person.
them
Yeah.
send them home. Get
Yep.
one of those freaking cool automatic door openers. Oh my goodness. We did the math on this, Douglas. After 3 months, you pay back, your payback is there, and you're just cashing checks, right?
That's
What
right.
actually happens, this is a term I refer to as necessary waste, right? What actually happens with the doorman is,
Well, you said necessary waste. Is that what you called it?
yeah, you'll see why
Okay.
in a
All
second.
right. Okay.
So 5 years later, the hotel has lost most of its loyal customers. The recurrence rate on a guest is down. There are homeless people sleeping in the doorway, and very shortly thereafter, that hotel shuts for good. Long after the fancy consultants rode out 6 months later and claimed that they saved you all sorts of money. Do you know why? It's because the doorman does so much more than
Exactly.
open a door, right? He hails cabs. He recognizes and takes care of regular guests. He gossips with people at the front desk, other doormen in the community about the homeless problem or whatever else to keep the hotel safe. I think you get the point here, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's very brilliant, and it the challenge happens firstly when you think that the problem here is actually the doorman opening the door
Yep.
rather than the doorman tending this elite hotel to make everyone's experience there better. So that's the main thing. But when I say this is necessary waste to me, it's the spreadsheet is never going to make a great case for the doorman because most of what he does isn't really quantifiable on a spreadsheet, but he is critical to the experience that your loyal guests have at this facility. And when he disappears, yeah, you increase the profit margin for a year and eventually go bankrupt. It's an extreme example. What do you think?
This is why I like things like the jobs to be done framework. When you think about why is a product hired? Like if you think about that, do you know the jobs to be done framework before I start?
No.
Okay. So the concept is when you buy something, you buy anything. Uh it looks at what are the jobs that you are hiring that product to do. And oftentimes it's viewed way too simply. So you buy a Snickers bar. What's the job to be done? And if you look at it in the simplest form, you could be like, I want something tasty up on my taste buds.
Yep.
But is it that you're trying to avoid talking to somebody, right? Just like the commercials? Is it that you were trying to satisfy a sweet tooth? Is it like getting the jobs to be done is really important for a company to then say, why is
Do you
someone
want a snack that
hiring?
can travel versus like just food?
Exactly.
Do you want something
Exactly.
that's not messy? Yeah.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. And there's an example. I can't remember all the detail about it, but when you look at someone in the morning that is stopping to pick up a like McFlurry from McDonald's.
Oh, Warren Buffett up in here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What is the, and if you just say they just want something tasty, then that's, you can replace it with so many things. But when you look at what you just mentioned, the ability for it to travel, the speed at which you can bring it out, like you want to, right? And when you start breaking out all the jobs to be done, then you can say, oh, the replacement cost of this is actually really high because we have to figure out a product that can do all these five things. Same thing with this door person. If you look at it simply and go, someone open the door, yeah, you can have an automatic door opener, but when you break it all out, now you need a robot. No, because that's what I was thinking the whole time. You can probably replace it with a robot,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you
except the
can.
community aspect. Maybe not the
And
community aspect.
potentially, I mean, I don't know if he can like if the robot can keep the homeless people out of the doorway. I don't know how
Uh,
that's going to go
I
down.
don't want to know
Depends
how the
on
robot's going to do it. Have you seen RoboCop?
have I ever. Yeah.
That's going to be a
Um,
problem. That's going to be a
it's
problem.
going to be a problem. I will not feel as safe with the robot opening the
No,
door for me.
no. And
Um,
there's also, there's this impact when I think about some of the restaurants that my wife and I will go to on a regular basis. There's a part of it that is the food, but a lot of it is just like interacting with those people. And it's, I think, same thing with the door person. Even just, I could walk past an apartment building in New York City and not even live there for a long time, and this door person might say hi to me all the time, and that means when I start getting my comeuppance, I now want to live there because of this human being, right? This is it's the softer side of things. So I like that you brought that up.
yeah, that's Rory Sutherland to a T. All sorts of thought experiments like that. And I really like that one. Thanks for humoring me with it.
Oh yeah. All right. I am reaching in the fishbowl. I'm gonna talk to you about some groceries. Groceries. Now, we in the US, you said we don't talk about politics, but right now in the politicking, there's so many conversations about US food prices. Look what Bidenomics has done to our food prices, is the argument that's going on. And US food prices have risen about 25% between 2019 and 2023. 25, that's wild, right? Like that's so much. Or is it? Is what this article brings up. And the reason is this compares US grocery prices to the rest of the world. This is in the conversation from about a couple of weeks ago. Now, Peter A. Cochlanis, and I'm sure that's exactly where they put the emphasis in their name. Cochlanis, Peter A. Cochlanis. So this looks at US food prices compared to rest of world. I am fascinated by this. And the way they did it was they said, what is the percent of what someone spends on food to their overall household expenditures? In the US, we're talking almost nothing compared to the rest of the world. Almost nothing. I mean, I actually don't know what the number is here, but it's like 5%, roughly something like that.
I mean,
Nigeria,
that's well, hold on. Isn't that because they're just eating Snickers bars? That's it? It's the whole US diet, right?
Warren Buffet, his name aside, is only eating Snickers bars. That's exactly right. Nigeria, 60% of household expenditures is spent on food.
Oh,
60%. And the high level takeaway here is when you start to increase the overall GDP, consumption, et cetera, of a country, you're only going to spend but so much on food. Like there's a cap on food because you only got one belly. Some people think you got two bellies, right? One for dessert, one for dinner time. But no, you only
yeah.
got one belly. And so therefore, you can fill this belly up. And when you start to get richer and richer, you're spending on other stuff. Like just like your Corvettes, your Ferraris, all the things that Skippy likes to buy.
Try Doogles. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Your bad stocks. But you can only spend but so much on food. And so I'm going to go through a few here. China, 20%. Indonesia, 35%. I mentioned Nigeria, 60%. Russia, 30%. And then again, US is like about 5%. of overall household on food. So when we talk about the rising food, it doesn't mean food prices haven't gone up because they have. 25% is material. But I just found it to be quite fascinating that when you look at the where the US is in comparison to the rest of the world, that there's such a high percentage of money that has to go to food that the ability to spend money on other stuff is just like not even present. It's not there. That it hit my mentals. I don't know if it hit your mentals the same way, but it hit my mentals pretty strongly.
Uh, if, what I'm stuck in is you mentioned the political tilt to this, the
Mhm.
fact that neither side in the current political debate seems to be able to take basic facts and actually like register those facts in their brain and then make actions based off of it.
That's right.
Like you could have it's just so broken. I won't spend time on it, but it's just so like that's a great fact, Douglas. It doesn't matter at all, unfortunately,
Oh no, it doesn't.
for
And by the
for
way,
who
it's
people's gonna vote for.
11.2%. 11.2%.
Oh
I
gosh,
know I said
you're way
five,
off.
but
Come on.
yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, still small. Continue. But the what also is interesting is what I felt. I couldn't quite figure this out, but going out to restaurants, because this is groceries and restaurant prices,
Mhm.
just like buying food. Going out to restaurants, the 25% feels more true than the inflation numbers that are out there. Things have gone up so much from a food perspective. It's kind of wild the way that that happens. But putting that into perspective for other countries is a
No, but I'm going to continue to tie back. Like the reason I go to restaurants is more than just the food. It's so the my price sensitivity isn't as great there. It has to do with the people and the
yep.
time you get with your family and the time away from distractions at home, and
That's
like
right.
it's
That's
an
right.
enjoyable experience, so it's totally worth it. All right, let me continue since like we're kind of looping. I didn't plan on talking about this, but
Uh-oh.
there's one other concept and it just fits too well with all these topics on our plate today that I have to bring it up. So this is also from Rory Sutherland, and I want your thoughts, your take. So when you talk about the student debt piece from our first topic, and then you talk about the necessary waste from our second topic, and everything else we have going on here, and rising prices. In this case, it's going to be rising tuition prices.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
He says the best way to game the education system in America is to work really hard in high school, go get your acceptance letter from the Harvard or the Stanford or whatever, and then don't even go to college. Print that acceptance letter out, walk into the company you want to work for. It'd work better in Silicon Valley than anywhere else, but it could work almost anywhere in the states. Slap your Harvard acceptance letter on their table and say, you know what? I actually want to work for you. Save yourself $200,000 in educational costs. Have the job you want. There's lots of downsides to this, but isn't it a fascinating concept?
It's stupid.
Why? Because the status, because the friendships, because that 4 years of your life is the actual definition of life, or what?
Oh wow. That was a big move. But yeah,
It's extreme, but yeah, you miss
along those
your
lines,
18 to 22 times with people
it's
your age.
people seem to think sometimes, not all people, I'm going a little extreme, but seem to think that it's the learning that is all that matters from the degree,
Okay.
or that the learning doesn't matter at all. No, it's the social capital that you build. It's the self-efficacy that you build for yourself. It's
The
your ability to know how to
status.
the status that so that's part of
No,
it.
it is. Unfortunately, it is.
But you can get the status from what you just named is the status. You can get that from just getting in from a place like this. You can get the status, but you lose all the life, to use your word. You lose the networks that you build. You lose like your own development as a human being and from learning. You lose all that. So there's this one transactional moment. Sure, you might even get that job, but like that's not what it's all about. It's like I think we've lost what the value of the education is fully.
Agreed.
So
Agreed. But
again, it's
I wish
stupid.
that, no, I wish there was a place, because all the things you stated are 100% correct. I wish there was a place, and maybe there is, and I'm just not aware of it, where similar people with like-minded pursuits could build those same core memories and great experiences from 18 to 22 or 23 that wasn't cost prohibitive for a large majority of people. Like, it'd be great to be like, okay, well, I don't need to spend 200,000, but I'd like a place over here that would give me a similar experience, all those similar positive benefits that you just mentioned for 5,000. I don't know that it's not really apples to apples that way.
No, I do wish it was less expensive. There's some kind of like a price equilibrium situation where we could find that'll balance it all. But because now the narrative that's sprouted up because it's so expensive is that it's not valuable. And it bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bothers me.
Sorry, it's been on my mind too, which is why I've brought it up in roundabout ways last several months. It's close, but it's far from perfect.
Far from perfect. Show up with your acceptance letter. It's also like, think about this in other contexts. Like, think about this from, I don't know, you go up to Sally and you're like, Sally, will you give them a little piece of paper that says, check this box if you'll go on a date with me?
Mm-hmm.
And Sally says yes. And you're like, that's it. Great. Look, like someone wanted me. And therefore, I'm a valuable commodity. So now you go over to Jennifer. Then Jennifer gets all kinds of jealous. Okay, maybe there's something to
Right.
this.
So you actually the whole time we're shooting for Jennifer, but you got the acceptance letter from Sally,
Mhm.
and now you got the confidence boost. Go talk to Jennifer. Is this what you're claiming?
No, we're actually after Mary. That's what's
What happened? Yep, 200 episodes of this, huh? Wow.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, no. I like this. That's interesting. And your point here is effectively the end game. It, right. This is a combination of journey versus end game, right? And if you're just, it's not always about just having the job at the perfect company when you hit 55 and want to hang them up. The path to get there really matters. And if you completely skip the
Yeah,
path to get there, yeah.
it's absolutely stupid. Like, can you imagine if someone interviewed to work for your organization? They want to work for you. And they said, I could do a great job for you because I got a job at KPMG. And you're like, how'd you do there? And they went, oh, look at my acceptance, like my offer letter. You go, no, like, can you, no, how did you do? Like, what did you accomplish? Why are you talking about my accomplishments when I'm talking about my offer letter?
It's fair, but it's a potential conversation. And some companies are looking for people with great potential and they would like to mold them from scratch. That would be appealing for me in certain hiring roles that I've done.
I would just
I'd
go,
also
so you don't like to finish what you started?
I would also have to have a lot more free time to give them college on the side to teach them basic email etiquette and 1,000 other things. And I would also say, the type of people that work here aren't going to be that much fun for you until you're 26. So I don't know that we want to do that 8 years of torture together. Guess it's all, I appreciate the pushback. I just like the roundabout crazy idea because there's not enough of those in the world.
Yeah. And if I'm asking you, I'm like, how was the restaurant? And you go, well, it's a great ordering system. No, like how did the food taste? Well, I ordered the food. I'm not gonna eat the food. Like there's so many things
You're
that
so
don't
fired
work.
up. I thought you were going to say, well, they took my reservation, but I don't know what
Yeah,
it looks like. I never went.
I was
Like,
allowed to go into the restaurant.
yeah, I'm not so repulsive that they would not let me make a reservation online. I love it. You're so mad. It's so great.
Yeah, what's your investing track record? Well, I opened a brokerage. They let me open the brokerage. This is ridiculous.
Let's not claim that some of the nonsense you're throwing is the same
How
as
are
an
you a
acceptance
parenting?
to
How are you a
Harvard.
parenting? Well, gave birth to the child. But you got to finish what you started, people.
Oh, this is fun. Very good. What's in your fishbowl? I don't want to get yelled at anymore. Could we change the subject?
So here, I don't know if you have the background info for this, but I hope that you do. So I'm gonna bring it up because I hope that you do. You sent over to me something on the Twitters from Sarna Capital, and it shows a graph of the rolling year-to-date performance of the S&P 500 since 1999. It's the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what it's showing, I don't know when the stopping point was, but it's like somewhere around now. It's showing that this is the best year-to-date performance of the S&P 500 this century to this point.
Yes.
I don't know what the other lines are that are around it. I'm very curious. I don't know if you know as
Okay.
well.
So this chart is interesting. It'll be on the Substack, which is skippydoogles.substack.com. Those gray lines, Doogles, those are every year since 1999, the performance of the S&P 500.
Yeah.
But and there's a similar chart from the same source of gold returns. And what's super
Oh,
fascinating about 2024 it is like, according to Meb Faber and a few others, it is the only known time on record when both of those assets are up more than 25% in a year. What that probably means is either this is a really unique period of time, or one of them will crash significantly in the next 2 months to get to more common times. But the reason I sent this graph over is because it's a year-to-date performance based on percent change, right? So it truly normalizes all the yearly performance, and this is on track currently. It's always been in the top tier of performance, and it's
yep.
currently on track to be the best performing year of the S&P 500 since 1999. Again, will it finish that way? Probably not, but it's fascinating to be like, oh my goodness. I know when I look at my personal performance, it's very unlikely that I'll match the S&P this year, and it's because my stocks are not made to keep up with like a top performing year in the S&P 500. That's just not what they're there for. There's too much risk protection built into the things that I typically buy. It's crazy. It doesn't, again, you go back to the political piece at the highest level, it does not feel like people at the rallies are talking about the best performing stock market of
No,
this century.
no, it feels like the US is a garbage dump. Like that is the way that people are talking about what's happening
People,
right now.
people,
People, humans,
person.
person, person.
That's funny. Let's see. Anything else in your fishbowl?
I got nothing else, man.
Thanks for hanging out with us 200 times for some of you guys. We are everywhere, Doogles, aren't we? SkippyDoogles.com. Can find things there. You want to support the show, supercast.skippydoogles.com. Listen, Doogles, This American Life, the NPR podcast / radio show, liked that we were on Supercast so much that they joined Supercast.
Wow,
Trendsetters
really?
over here. Yeah.
That we are. Thank you, everybody.